Hello, and welcome to the Lost and Found. My name is Danny, and today we are going to be talking about magnetism and how you can attract in more opportunities, more people, more places, more offers into your life. And I think it's fair to say that all of us would love to learn how to be more magnetic and attract in more opportunities which we desire. And many times we feel stunted because you look up how to be a magnetic person, how to be attractive, and it's just be yourself, just be authentic, just be a high vibrational person, and that's what's going to call people in. And while these things are not wrong, today we are going to be going into exactly what that means and steps that you can take to be more magnetic and start calling in that desired life. So, to start off, I will tell you a little bit about my life. I have always been a very social person. I walk into a room and I like to talk to every single person. I like to introduce myself if I don't know them, and if I do know them, a hug and a hello, everything. And this is a way that I've always been. And I never quite understood when people would tell me that I demand a room or I am magnetic. I walk into a room and people can feel that. Until a few years ago, when I fell into a very opposite depression from what I had experienced before. Before, I was this very happy go lucky person who had definitely experienced anxiety, quite a bit of it, and more on like the people pleasy side of the spectrum. But I never quite fell into depression. And 3 years ago, the pendulum quite switched over, and I experienced the complete opposite. I would walk into a room and I wouldn't say hi to anybody. My head would come down. I was overcome with shame and guilt over my life. Little things that I thought, I don't want people to know this. I don't want to share this myself. I'm too embarrassed to even admit it myself. And then I slowly came out of that. And as I've come out of that, I've realized that going through these ups and downs and having depression, having these highs and deep, deep lows of shame and guilt and fear and anger and sadness and all of that is not what keeps you from being magnetic. A harder life does not mean that you are less magnetic. What makes you magnetic, or what makes you not magnetic rather, is suppressing certain stories, certain emotions, vibrations, essentially. Because everything is a vibration, and although this isn't meant to be woo-woo, let's just be real, science is science and everything is energy. And some stories, some emotions are more dense than others. And shame, as an example, which is the primary emotion I was feeling 3 years ago, has a very, very dense, dark energy. It's very suppressed. And when you hold on to certain emotions, feelings, vibrations, that creates this unattractive darkness within you. It's like bugs and moths. They're attracted to the light. So the more attractive that you are, the lighter that you are, the more that you will attract people in. People, situations, events, everything, opportunities. The lighter that you are. And that's not to say that a lightness means that you don't experience deep, deep traumas. It's actually the opposite. It's that you do experience deep traumas, deep moments that maybe could be kept hidden, but instead you expose them. You put them into the light. And by putting something very, very heavy into the light, it shines even brighter. You have more energy to work with here, because it's really like within you, you have a certain amount of energy at all times. And you decide where on that chart you want to put it. Do you want to put it in the most dense emotion, which is shame and hidden and fear and all of that? Or do you want to take that same story and put it in the light, in the bliss, in the freedom, in the peace? Well, First, you have to acknowledge it. So, this is when I get into the steps of becoming more magnetic. Every single one of us has stories, shameful moments, shameful memories, painful, sad, um, cringy, embarrassing, whatever it may be. You have many of these stories and moments in your life. And once you acknowledge them, so first you have to acknowledge, okay, when I was 16 years old, I got into a car accident and it was completely my fault. I was the one driving, I was driving carelessly, and I got into this car accident. First, I acknowledge it. Okay, I did that. I was careless. I was not wearing a seatbelt. I was not caring much for my future. And that's the reality of the situation. I got in this car crash. From there, I take ownership. Right, so that is what happened. I did this. I was the one in control, and I chose to not value my life as much as I could have. I could have buckled my seatbelt. I could have been driving more slowly. I could have been more conscious. Instead, I didn't do that. So now that I've taken ownership over this and I've admitted it to myself, I am no longer a victim in this situation, because that's something else. When you are victimizing yourself so much, or you're sitting in the shame, well, you're not taking control over that situation. And at the end of the day, we're all in control over our lives. Every single situation, we have control over it. And so by sitting in that victimhood, because this is where our control comes in, like at the end of the day, yes, I could talk about all of the different factors that got me into this car. At the end of the day, though, it's been 10 years now. I sat myself in the car, I put myself in that situation, and I got in the car crash. Okay, I'm no longer a victim. I'm no longer shaming myself for it. I'm actually in this new state of control and forgiveness. I'm working through it. I am talking to therapists. I began talking to friends, talking to parents, talking to trusted loved ones, telling them I do feel quite shameful over this. I have been seeing myself as the victim or the perpetrator or whatever it may be. This is the truth of the situation. I'm taking ownership over it, and I'm moving to a place of forgiveness. Forgiveness is on that lighter side of the scale. Once you take this story and you flip it on its head, you're no longer the victim. You're no longer the perpetrator. It no longer becomes dense energy. It now becomes actually this very light energy, this transformational, inspirational story. Now I can talk about it. Yes, I did this. I got into this car crash. I was the one driving. I was careless. I wasn't wearing a seatbelt. I don't do that again today. I act very differently now. So I expose that in conversations with people, and I'm able to take ownership over it, talk about it with a very steady heart rate, nervous system. Doing this allows you to be able to become more magnetic, because you would not believe the amount of people who have been in similar situations. Maybe they haven't been in a car crash as well, but maybe they've done something that made them feel shameful in the past, because they put their life in danger because they were careless. And so when you start sharing this, not just the story, but that energy of forgiveness, people want to move towards the light. That's the natural progression of things. You go from the shame to the control to the acceptance, forgiveness, bliss. And so a lot of people have a lot of emotions and memories that they keep on that left side of the scale, which is the shame and the hidden dark energy. And the other side of that spectrum is the light, moving towards the light, moving towards forgiveness. And so when you are sharing a story and you're sharing that energy of forgiveness, people will see that as a target, as I want to move towards the light. I am the moth moving towards that flame. And that person who is the holder of this energy of forgiveness is where I'm headed. So on the other side of the spectrum, if you are somebody who just wallows and stays in that self-doubt, stays in that victimhood. You have to try incredibly hard to convince people to come your way. Whether that be jokes or very like physically attractive, you're doing a lot of things on this external surface maybe to try to bring them in. But the truth is that it will be so much harder to obtain those people. And once they are in your field, you will lose them just as quickly as I guess it wasn't quickly, but you will lose them as soon as you get them. Because they'll quickly see that this person they're not able to hold. And when you're not in a state of regulation, of moving forward yourself, but you're attracting people trying to make this sort of persona, you're not going to be able to keep them. The only way to be able to actually maintain relationships, opportunities, situations, all of that that's attractive and that you desire is by actually working on that within, reaching a state of abundance. And abundance does not mean overflow. It does not mean, because when you're not magnetic, it does not necessarily mean that you are attracting in every possible person in the entire world. It just means that the situations, the people, the events that you start attracting in are aligned to you. They're aligned to that energy. If you're somebody who has forgiven themselves, you're going to attract people that are on that route to forgiveness. And maybe you also inspire people along the way, but they don't actually meet you where you are. They don't come into your field. So this idea that forgiving yourself attracts people is because the ultimate law, the law of forgiveness, is that nothing else, this like law of karma, law of attraction, law of whatever it may be, all of them get trumped by this law of forgiveness. And that's something that can just be felt by every single person. And so the more that you've maybe gone through in your life, it can be as simple as, I pick my boogers. I pick my boogers. And you say that with 100% certainty, like, yes, this is what I do. A lot of people might be like, wow, I really respect and like that person because they're so real. They're so raw. And just being so completely raw, you are going to attract in the people who say they have forgiven themselves, and now I would also like to forgive myself. I would like to be on that route of forgiveness, of love, of certainty in yourself. Because the more that you keep hidden, the darker you are. And people they can't even see it. Black is less attractive of a color than the white. And people are going to notice the white, and they're going to want to walk towards the white. The opportunities are going to want to walk towards the white, because the more dense of the energy that you hold onto, the less empty space you have for opportunities to flow in. And as you start to do this more and more in your life, so as I went from my deep, deep depression, I started becoming magnetic again and noticing that glimmer in people's eyes when I took ownership over my story. And instead of trying to hide in it and think I can go the rest of my life pretending that this part of me doesn't exist, or that was so bad, I can pretend that part of me doesn't exist, or this dream that I had and I still have is so out of reach I could never talk about it. No, I moved all of those emotions, feelings, thoughts from the category of shame, darkness, and secrecy to a place of ownership. And I think I'm here now where I am taking ownership over everything and moving into a vibration of forgiveness. And people can see that. People can notice that. And they say, me too. Me too. Maybe I don't relate to her exact story, but I relate to being a human who's made quote unquote mistakes, who's made decisions that I wouldn't make again today. And wow, they have forgiven themselves. They're on that route to acceptance, love, forgiveness, peace, bliss. And that's the route I want to be on. And so I'm calling in those people again. But while I was in that state of deep depression, which is okay, I'm not saying that feeling those darker emotions is not necessary, but it's the wallowing in them and thinking that you can attract from this state that keeps you stuck because you can't. And if you do attract, you're going to lose it instantly. So you have to do that internal work of taking your real thoughts, emotions, feelings, beliefs, urges, bringing them to the surface. Start small. Start with one person that you trust. Maybe it's your therapist. Maybe it's your journal. Saying it. What is it? What is like the most cringy, disgusting, weird thought you have in the back of your head? Just let it out. Just say it. Just see how it feels when you write it down. See how it feels. Does the shame die a little bit? Even just writing it down, that thing that you are so embarrassed to admit, write it down, see how it feels. Maybe you burn it. That's okay. Let it out somewhere. There is real science to this. Keeping that dark matter shit lodged inside of you is going to dull your light. It is going to keep you from ever attracting those opportunities which you are destined for. And the work is in acknowledging, controlling, releasing. Control the narrative. You control the narrative. The more shit that you've gone through, the more shit that you feel shameful for, incredible. There's more to work with. There's more to work with. There's more that we can transmute. And how beautiful is it to be able to transmute energy and then be such a powerful transmuter, human being, attractive, magnetic person. It's not easy to get all of the shit out there. It's not. But it's the first step. The first step is taking every single piece of yourself out, putting it on the table. The ugly, the pretty, the beautiful, the dark, the light, all out on the table. In the beginning, it's going to look a complete disaster. It's going to look a mess. You're going to realize things from your youth that you never thought impacted you. And you're going to pull things up from your current life that you know bother you, but you're too scared to say out loud. Put it out. Simple things, big things, all of it. Put it down on a piece of paper. Or to a therapist. Or to a friend. That thing that makes you feel the most cringy, just say it out loud. See how it feels. See how people react to it. With those baby steps, and maybe one person will react to it negatively. They'll say, keep that shit lodged inside. Repel them. That's something about being a magnet as well. Magnets do not only attract, they also repel. But the good thing is that when you start opening up and putting the things out on that messy table, a lot of other people are going to run in the opposite direction. They're not going to want your real messy disaster. They're not going to want it. And that's fair. Not everyone is meant for everyone. Not every magnet is meant to attract. Some of them are meant to repel. The good thing about this, though, is similar to holding on to those shameful emotions. It's when you let go of relationships, situations, opportunities that do not align to you, that your magnet repels. The stronger that it gets, the more it repels. They leave. It creates space for more aligned, I mean. So a lot of people describe this as their dark night of the soul, this very heavy, dark time where everything is kind of going in shambles. You're losing things, you're coming to terms with things, your whole life is just out on the table and it looks ugly and it looks messy. Well, this is the perfect space to start organizing your life, to start being like, okay, these are the things that have been weighing me down heavily. Now I see them. These are the things that I feel shame for. These are the things that I'm scared of. These are the things that make me very angry. These are the things that make me anxious. You have all of these things now, and you're able to start forgiving yourself. Some people, they might not want anything to do with it. They don't want to have anything to do with your story, with your movement from shame, guilt, control, acceptance, forgiveness. They don't want anything to do with it, and that's fine. You have to be willing to accept that certain situations are not actually meant for you. They exist. You could try really, really hard to bring them into your life and hold them, but if you're not a match, you're not a match. So by doing that internal work, you no longer have to go out running out and trying to pull people into your field. You do the work all within you. And it starts with acknowledgement, putting all that shit out on the table, and then slowly taking the steps to forgiveness. Journaling, talking to a therapist, talking to loved ones, talking to friends, posting about it if you want on social media, taking those baby steps, putting that shame out there so that it no longer lives within you. You become lighter, and the people and the situations and all of it starts coming to you. You're going to see it's going to start changing your life because people relate heavily to pain, to those darker matter emotions. It could be something as stupid. I said the picking your nose. It could be, oh, I lied in bed all day yesterday. I lied in bed all day yesterday. Admitting that to somebody, just admitting it raises your vibration. It's your truth. It's your honesty. It's you being authentic. Leaning into your authenticity does not mean becoming the most social person in the room. Yes, being a magnet does not mean being the most social person in the room. It's being the most real person in the room. Being able to sit with yourself and your truth exudes from you without saying a single word. People can feel it. And when you do have a conversation with somebody and you open up about who you are, that light and energy that they felt, that lightness around you, goes to their head. It all kind of goes ding, ding, ding. And you'll notice the brightness and the light in their eyes. I promise you. Energy cannot be denied, and many of us also want a bit of that explanation. And so first, create that energy, create that feeling, and maintain the people, the situations by sitting in your truth, honoring that truth. This is who I am. This is why I made that decision. And this is why I want what's ahead. Shame dies when stories are told in safe spaces. You going through what you have gone through, the bigger, the better. I promise. Because God did not give you all of this trauma, these hardships, these thoughts, these to keep them hidden away. No, he said, are you up for the challenge to expose yourself, reveal yourself, be naked? Will you be the leader in that? Because if you do it, then people will come to you. Be honest, be vulnerable, and yeah, you'll start seeing all of the situations that you will attract. You never have to settle. You are who you are. Anytime that you're not noticing immediate impacts, like you're not noticing people flock to you, maybe you're not getting all of the texts all at once, that's okay. You keep going within yourself and burning and exposing that darkness, because I promise once you keep going up, it's going to be a little bit almost overwhelming. A lot of light is going to come. Okay. Just to wrap this up, know that you are always forgiven. Whatever it is, you are always forgiven. You can reach out to me on social media, on Instagram, on TikTok. In my comments, I'm here for you. No thing that you did is ever too big, too bad, too ugly to be forgiven. You are absolutely forgiven, but you do have to shed light on it. You do. You have to admit it to yourself. Okay. Peace. Mwah.